In my country, there is this thing where high school students can apply for a job under the summer break and work for 3 weeks either in June, July, or August. So this isn't like your regular job, but you're still working and getting paid. In the beginning of July, I, 17F, started working for an organization that was all about getting children and youth to move around and be more active. So my job was to basically lead different kinds of activities and play with kids. Besides me, there were a bunch of other teens working with me, but I'll only be focusing on this one specific guy, 16M. I'ma call him Bob. Long story short, my colleagues were extremely unserious and would laugh at any given situation, no matter how serious it was. I didn't think much about it until the beginning of third, last week, where I had to work in a group with some people including Bob. Now what didn't sit right with me is that each time I said something, Bob would look over at his friends and they would just chuckle amongst themselves. I didn't think much about it since they laugh at quite literally anything and everything. I just wanted to get the job done. However, the next day my supervisor pulled me aside to talk to me and he told me how he had been observing the group's behavior for a while and how he noticed that some people, Bob included, laughed whenever I said something, and he told them once when I left that he wouldn't hesitate to fire them if he found out they laughed at me for whatever reason. He told me that all of them denied the accusation and simply said they have hard time staying serious, which I believed at first until Bob decided to run his mouth. A couple of days afterwards, we got inside earlier due to a storm and we had less than 1 hour before clocking out. To kill some time, we decided to play Mafia. For those of you who don't know, Mafia is a social deduction game where players are secretly assigned roles as either Mafia members or villagers. During the night phase, the Mafia secretly choose a player to eliminate, while special roles like the doctor can save someone and the detective can investigate a player to learn if they're Mafia. During the day phase, everyone discusses and votes to eliminate someone they suspect is in the Mafia. The game continues with alternating night and day phases until either all Mafia members are eliminated, villagers win, or the Mafia outnumber the remaining villagers, Mafia wins. However, after 2 of Bob's friends got eliminated by one of the Mafias, Bob came up with a conclusion that I am Mafia, and his reasoning was, quoting, "We're laughing at her." So I assume he probably thought I wanted to take my revenge on those guys for laughing at me by eliminating them in a game. Lol. How childish. But now, I had proof that they were in fact not laughing at nothing, but at me. And I specifically targeted Bob only, not because his words wounded me, but because he was the only one stupid enough to say this in front of everyone, even our second supervisor. I rushed to grab my phone and I immediately texted my other supervisor, the one who threatened to fire those who laugh, about this whole situation. I even made sure to sound extra vulnerable and hurt, and not even 5 minutes after he texted me back, my second supervisor got a phone call from him and they discussed on how they should handle this situation. Before we got to clock out, my second supervisor said how the whole organization had absolutely no tolerance for bullying and said how he didn't appreciate people laughing at each other. That's when he made Bob apologize, of course. His apology was everything but sincere since I could literally see him trying not to laugh, and the whole apology speech sounded like it was written by ChatGPT. However, it did not stop there. There were around 3 days left before we'd finish with our job, so instead of firing him, which wouldn't be too much of a punishment in this scenario, they rather had him working like a slave for these last 3 days. He was even sent to different kinds of places and told to clean and tidy up the areas. Meanwhile, I literally got pulled aside by my second supervisor and told that I need to work less. One moment that truly brought me that sense of victory and satisfaction is when my supervisor allowed me to leave work around 40 minutes early, after he told me to sit down and work less. And as I walked past a football field where the kids had a Huji water balloon fight, I saw Bob with a big trash bag in his hand, picking the remaining balloon bits and pieces all by himself. Just thinking about the whole scenario makes me laugh. I am so glad that my supervisors actually went out their way to punish him and not just make him recite an I-generated apology and move on with their life. I wasn't actually that offended by his constant laughter. I just wanted to let him know that if someone is quiet and more reserved, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll put up with his cheap behavior and not say anything about it. His laughter didn't bother me. I was actually only being petty and wanted him to get into trouble. Because when they go low, I go lower.